this is all about the changes we've made to the pipes VGE. So in the most recent update, which came out this week, version 21.2, the changes were quite a few, but the most significant change was the improvements and upgrade to the vertical grading editor that we have done for the pipes module. So what did we change? Well, to summarize it in one word, everything. There's a new layout for the whole thing. We've overhauled the zoom and pan. We've enhanced some of the navigation, improved some of the display of pipes and crossing objects. A whole new swathe of tools for customizing the interface, and upgraded some of the commands. So let's get into it. There's going to be no specific agenda for today. I'm just going to roll through the interface and then start showing you some of the changes to the commands. So yeah, feel free to ask questions along the way if there's anything specific, but this is more about the function as opposed to the how you use it. Sorry, all the way around. This is about how you use it, not the function. All right, let's have a look. So just to give you a bit of context of where I'm going, I have started on a project that's pretty much already done. So there's a whole network of roads, and I've also got a network of pipes and pits for a couple of different types of networks. So if I zoom in and have a look, and I might just change my roads, sorry, make them invisible. So the blue system here is my drainage system. The red one here is my service. And then this one here that looks like concrete, which is one enhancement I'm going to talk about. Now that with the latest version, you can actually apply a texture to your pipe networks when you display them in the model viewer. So that is, if I flip the view around underneath, this is my sewer system. So just 3 different systems just to show you the differences that occur when you open up the vertical grading editor for each. All right, so let's jump into it. So I am using the Civil Site Design Plus program, which is a version of the Civil Site Design that sits on top of the AutoCAD OEM. So it's a standalone. It doesn't actually need to be installed on a platform. It is a all-inclusive install. So yeah, that's what today's one is going to be like. The Civil Site Design is exactly the same as what you would find on any of the other platforms. So let's get started. Let's jump into the VGE straight away and see what's changed. So hopefully it opens on the right screen. Yep. Okay, so as promised, everything's changed. The whole interface has been reinvented. We spent a fair bit of time on streamlining how this looks. We've brought it in line to what we've done with the roads VGE, so we separated function and control. So the main layout elements are the display window here, which shows you all your pipe and pits of the current branch of the network that you're viewing. We have across the top now a ribbon interface for design and settings. So we separated the settings from the design functions. So the home tab is all your design settings, design canvas for another word for it. And the settings is where you change all your settings. All of the property information is now sitting in a panel on the right-hand side of the screen. And then all of your navigation controls and information and zoom controls all sit across the bottom. So this again is in line with what we've done with the roads VGE. The whole form is the same as before, relocatable, resizable. It is modeless, so I can be zooming around in my drawing all at the same time. So that hasn't changed. You can open up as many of these as you like, as you've been able to before, however many you can fit onto your screen. The basic controls that you can do with the display of these elements. You can actually hide the property data over here on the right. So click on this button here and it'll disappear. Click on it again, bring it back. You can also hide the ribbon away. So you could actually set your display up to show pretty much just the graphic window. So you can see your entire pipe and pit branch in all its glory. So you can press those buttons, turn them back on. The resizable aspect applies also to the data window here. So I can resize the tooltip display down the bottom. I can make the panel narrower, wider. I can even change the divider for the information. And the information here is also enhanced. Like it's the same information that was displayed in the previous version of the VGE, but now we give a further explanation about what each element is actually calculated or derived from. So you just click on one and you'll be able to see a bit of information about where it comes from. Okay, let's make this a bit smaller. The biggest change, well, the biggest change I like, I'm going to put a bit of personal preference in here. I can now zoom and pan with the mouse wheel. So the middle mouse button, so zoom is roll the mouse forwards and backwards, and you can change the zoom levels. Panning is now hold the wheel down and you can pan left and right, but you can also now pan up and down, which is new. The vertical exaggeration isn't regenerated and recalculated until you make a pipe active. So if I make this pipe active, it will use what I'm looking at to resize the window based on my current vertical exaggeration. So I can now pan around. So if I've got a service or a crossing pipe that's down deep below this one, I can actually use the pan to go and have a look at it, whereas in the past, it was really hard to do. If you want to go back to zoom extents, just double click the wheel and you will get zoom extents. So it'll show you your entire branch again. The crosshair is still same old crosshair in the drawing. So it tracks where you are. If you've got multiple, you'll see multiple versions of the trackers. So that hasn't changed. So you still can get your plan network integration going on. The buttons across the bottom are kind of grouped together in logical sequence. So this is save and close. This is regenerate. These are the two controls I showed you just before, undo and redo. That's your command line for the different functions that you'll be using. Your change and level for the cursor. Zoom to pipe, which we'll play with in a minute. Next pipe, previous pipe. So you can use these things to jump left and right. But you can also achieve this by just the keyboard left and right keys. So I can jump left and right keys, just like I would be doing if I'm clicking those buttons. It might be faster if you want to run that way. So if we combine that up with the zoom to pipe, and then start using the keyboard, we can jump left and right and scroll up and down our network, looking at the current pipe and a pipe either side, or whichever one I specify. The zoom controls are also sitting here. So you've still got your zoom in, zoom out in traditional sense, zoom window as you would have experienced previously, the zoom all, and the pan. So you can do those if you want based off controls, but why would you when you've got the mouse wheel? You can do it whichever way you like. All right. That's the basic interface functionality out of the way. Let's have a look at the settings tab. I'm going to start on settings first, just so that you can understand the way you can make this display your own. You can change pretty much everything now to whatever you feel like. So we've exposed a fair bit more of the functionality of the display of information. But when you jump to the settings tab, the first thing you get to control, you can change your exaggeration level. So you can say, I want to max it out at, say, 4 or 5, whatever you're in the mood for. And it'll, of course, tell you your current exaggeration based on the window size. But we've also exposed a lot of the common things that you would potentially want to turn on and off in your vertical grading window. So things like the property window, you can actually turn it on and off from here as well. You can show the pipe cover. You can show the HGL warnings, which is the orange stuff up top here. We've also exposed the depth below for the first level. So if you recall in the previous VGE, there were 3 levels of depth below design and existing. We've exposed the first level of that on this form. So you can just simply turn it on and start playing with the numbers. So I can make this, say, 5 meters and it'll jump 5 meters below, or I can make it 0.6 and I can go 600 mils below. I can do the same for the existing. That stuff's easy. Just turn it on and off now.
Todd.
Yes.
Sorry, just a quick request. Could we have the VG full screen? Would that be okay?
Yeah, no worries. I can do that.
Just for those sort of smaller monitors, that's grand. Thank you.
No worries. Do you want me to refresh what I just said, or good?
Not at all.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So I'm just going to work out where I'm up to. All right. So we've looked at depth below control. So you can turn them on and off anytime you want from the settings tab. Now let's have a look at display settings. So in display settings, this is where you can get a bit more depth of control. So this is what you could do in the past, where you can turn the pipe cover on and off, which is the same as toggling it on here. You could show an additional HGL depending on what analysis you've done. This is where you can be exposed to the second and third levels for the depth below for the existing and design, and where you could configure what is displayed in the lines of text at the top of the VGE. So we could change this thing to say pipes 1 in, and it will show me my new pipes. Now, the other significant new feature is this concept of themes. So this is your ability to control the colors, the text height of all of the elements that sit inside the VGE. So color-wise, you can go in and change all the different pieces that you want. So let's say make the background black. Let's make the pipes, let's go red, just to make them stand out. And let's change some text. So I'm going to change the incoming pipes here just to be a bit smaller because it's a bit high. So let's drop it down to 8. Click on OK. And those changes get applied to the VGE. So text height here is shrunk. My pipes are now showing in red. Current pipe is always yellow. The background has gone to black as opposed to a dark grey. Then this is customizable to whatever preference you have. Now, those themes can also be, that'll be applied to the VGEs in my current job, but you can actually save a VGE theme. You can come in here and go save theme, you can give it a name. I'm going to give it a very original name. Save it away. You can use that to apply it to another project if you'd want to. There are also some controls in here to set the default themes, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But before I jump onto that, I did want to mention this default values tab. So this is where you can preset information for when this theme is applied as the default theme. So there is a nice big note over here explaining what I'm trying to explain right now. So basically I can say, right, my default theme when I set it, I want my exaggeration to be a certain value. So you can pick whichever one you're after. And I want the display of information at the top of the VGE to be a certain way. I want my default increment and my default depth below for the first ones to be a certain value. Whatever you set here, when that theme is set as your default theme, it gets applied to all the VGEs in the future. All right, but just to show you what happens now that I've changed the theme for this VGE, if I close this one down, go and open up the other one over here, which let's go and have a look at the one for the sewer. There's a couple of different things in this. So in here, I am now getting the black background, the red pipes, and the exaggeration's been reduced, so we can change that to whatever we want. The display controls actually extends right through to not only the current pipes, but also to things like the house connections, which this sewer network has connected to. And you can actually apply a theme that you've set quite easily. You can come in and I've actually got a theme in here that I want to use. I've set it up. Now, called it my default. And when I apply this theme, I've set it up with different colors for different bits of text, and I've also shrunk a lot of the text, and I've also reset some of the information at the top in terms of its height. Now I can actually make that theme my permanent theme. So over here under the Tools tab in Themes, you have this option here to take the current theme and apply it as the default. So when you do it, it will warn you. It says this will use this as a default theme, which is stored in the settings. That means that it is the default theme now for all my future projects. So I can actually go through and open up, let's go back to the one we were playing with. So this one over here. And its theme has converted to the one I loaded because I set that as my default. So the theme gets applied universally, but the information displayed at the top is controlled on a VGE basis, because as a VGE is opened and closed, the software stores settings information across the top. If I open up a VGE that hasn't been changed, then the information will be as per my default. So if I open up, say, this one, across the top, it's just telling me pipe size and grade, which is what my default theme had. So you can always reset your VGE, sorry. You can always come back in, and I can go back to that other one. And this is the nice function that's put in at the bottom, which is the last thing I want to talk about. Under themes here, if you hit reset, it'll reset it to the default theme. Just click on OK, close out of the thing, open it back up, and now my VGE will be whatever default theme I set up. All right, let's have a look at some of the command functions. So we'll go and look at this one over here. All right, so I might turn off the data window, give ourselves lots of space. I do need to make this smaller for this first one that I want to show you.
Just while Todd's doing that, we did have a question come in about the data window on the right-hand side, which was in relation to really, I guess, how it compares to the original data reporting.
Same information, just formatted differently.
Yep. Same content as what's there currently. Yep.
The only enhancement is the tooltip link at the bottom. We give a bit more of an explanation as to what each of the values are derived from. But beyond that, it's the same information that you would normally have seen across the top of the VGE between the controls and the data window.
Yeah, I think the big change is that we're now referring to, or the sort of significant change is the fact we're referring to pits as structures now.
Correct.
So sort of a change in the terminology.
Yep. Yes. But the values is still the same information in terms of values. Okay, so what I want to show you here, because I will put it back to full screen in a minute, but the I need to make the VGA a little bit bigger because as you compress it, the ribbon hides some of the values. The zoom to pipe command has actually been exposed and made a lot easier to find. So instead of it being with all the zoom controls, it actually sits up with the pipe property controls. So the home tab or the design canvas, which one of my colleagues used as a description of this, which I think is actually a good way of describing it. It's broken up in similar fashion to the old one, that you've got the downstream controls at one end, the pipe controls in the middle, the upstream controls of the current pipe at the other end, and then the increment control sitting at the end. But the zoom to pipe now sits with the pipe information. So if I make a pipe current, so I make the top pipe current, and I go zoom to pipe, then it zooms my drawing into the current pipe. So it's always a nice way to find out where you are in relation to plan to vertical grading. All right, let's go back to full screen. All right, so as I said, these grouped sort of left to right. So all of this stuff here is related to the downstream end of the pipe here. All of the middle information here is related to the pipe itself, and all of the right-hand side stuff here is related to the upstream end. Here's your increment control sitting on here. So this information here is all the same as what's in the old VGE. It's just been laid out in a much more efficient way and a much nicer way to be able to find controls. So if you want to set the downstream level of this pipe, you can click on this button here, change the level to whatever you're after. Let's go something like that. One change that is brand new for here is this idea of this link icon pops up. Every time you make a manual edit to the levels or to the pipe, either end, you get this link. And it will actually tell you that you've manually modified the pipe as opposed to the automatic design. And that's great. It's a nice little visual warning, and I can still do my up and down edits for my pipe based on my increments. So down and up here, down and up here. I can change the increment, maybe go to 0.5 meter, jump it down. But if I want to restore to my original design, all I need to do is click on the little link icon, and it all goes back. So the same thing will appear when you start playing with pipe properties in terms of the size or the upstream end, and you'll see that in a sec when I start making a few other changes. But every time you see those link icons, you can press them, disable the changes, go back to your automatic design. The depth value here is reported, so it's not an editable field, it's just the depth to the invert from the design surface. Same with the drop values, they're reported values of the drop through the downstream structure. This is where you would edit the structure properties, so it would open you up and jump you into the structure properties for the particular structure you're looking at. I don't actually want to make any changes, and definitely don't want to do this because I don't want to break my network and not be able to show you all the changes, but this is where you could delete your structure. So this would delete the downstream structure, which would be this one. The solid line here then starts into the pipe control. So we have the pipe slope and length denoted here. So these are reportable fields. Also down the bottom here, we report the current pipe's grade as well. So you get to see it twice, but if you're showing the information in the top as slope, you still get the grade displayed down the bottom. These are the jog buttons for the pipe, right, jogging it up or down. So if I've got my increment set at 0.5 meter, it'll jog the pipe down 0.5 meter. I can go down to maybe another 0.5 meter. Might be a bit far, so let's go maybe up a little bit. So you can use these as you have before, jog up, jog down. The next few controls here are editing the pipe properties. So this one will launch you into the pipe properties. This one would allow you to add a new structure along the current pipe. That's the zoom to pipe, which is what we looked at. This is the set grade control. So if we do that, for example, we set it from the downstream, let's go across at 1%. Pipe will now suddenly be shooting across at 1%. This is set the grade for multiple pipes. So you could use this one, just like in the past, you could set it for a range based on changes or picks on the screen. This one is new in terms of repeated commands. So this is the set obverts to match. So if I run this one, I can actually grab the obvert on this side, but the command continues to run. So if you look down here at the command line, it still says it's running pipe obvert. So I can continue to click at all the different locations, and all of my pipes that I click on will take my obvert control. So it will run until you stop it. So you can press the escape key to finish it or start another command. This is all the pipe type information. So this is your class. This is where you could set your pipe diameter. So maybe we could go nuts and make this a really big pipe. We could even set duplicate pipes. And you'll notice the moment I start changing the pipe size, the link icon appeared, and the link icon appeared on the upstream end as well, because I started playing with the grade controls. That's because all of the changes I've been doing is causing a manual edit on a part of the pipe. So the icons will appear to let you know that you've done a manual change. Same thing would have happened to these pipes down here. Because I matched the obverts, it's set the levels, so all of the icons appear. The remainder of the controls sitting in here for the upstream pipe are the same as what it is for the downstream pipe. There's your property information about the drops, and there's your edit pipe, edit the pit and delete the pit. Now, if I wanted to reset the design for this network of pipes completely, perhaps I wanted to reset the whole thing. I've made changes to everything and I want to go back to square one. I could go through sequentially and untick all of the link icons, so all of these, but there is the bigger version of undo, or not undo, sorry, restore the automatic designs. It all sits in the settings tab. That's this reset verticals. So this is the same as the previous command. You pick what you want to reset. So let's remove all the overrides, and you pick the range that you want to apply it to. So let's go and reset the entire network. Click on OK. It'll want to confirm. Do that, and then everything resets back to your automatic design. So you can still do that, and you could do that based on what's visible or change range, however you see fit, same as what's been done in the past. Another change that you've probably noticed that I haven't mentioned yet, so let me zoom into this pipe. Let's go on pipe either side. Okay, so pipes now show the walls. So if I zoom right in, you'll see it. The inside-outside walls for each pipe is actually shown in the VGE, so that's an enhancement that we've added, but we've also changed crossing pipes. So if you've got a crossing pipe that is circular, it will actually be shown as an ellipse in the VGE, whereas previously it was shown as rectangle. If it's a rectangular structure, it's like a box culvert or some description like that, it will show up as a rectangle. But yeah, circular pipes now show as ellipses. All right. I'm pretty sure that is the majority of the changes. Unless there are any specific questions.
No, well, interesting
Nothing?
question.
Yeah.
Interesting question that was in relation to, funnily enough, where you've just finished off, which is the distance between the pipes and the crossing service. Now, my colleague Andrew Banson, who's part of the development team who's worked on this, is also one of the panelists in the background. But he was basically saying along the lines of, look, you know, our model viewer software, or sorry, the model viewer part of Civil Site Design, as you've already seen, folks, at the very start, has got the pipes now as part of that display, and in forthcoming development, there will be the a clash detection system within that. So not only are you going to be able to see your pipes in 3D, but then obviously able to analyze them in respect of clashes and distances. So not something that we're looking to develop within the VGE. But that was really the only... Go on.
I was going to say, the only thing you get with in terms of clash detection, depending on the cover controls set on the pipe and the crossing object, it will change color up here to indicate you're outside your zone, but it won't give you the distance. That's a property of the pipe. So if I lower this pipe, make the increments a bit bigger, make it a bit faster, see how the pipe's gone to a pink as opposed to red. When it's red, it means that it's within the cover zone of one or the other.
Yeah, that's another tweak actually, because I can't remember if we've got that in the settings as a color change, but certainly it used to be a very sort of vague kind of orangey color, which was kind of difficult to distinguish. But now it's red if it goes within the, oh, there you go, clashing pipe, it is there, yes. So it used to be a color which was very difficult to sometimes see. So the fact that you can now specify that as
so
red,
you can specify the color, hence why in this theme here, which I applied, which is my one that I played around with, I made the clashing pipe. So I think in the default one is red anyway. But yes, I made it a really bright color, and then the crossing pipes, we could make that a really dull color. So we could make that almost dark. Let's make it a dark color. And then that crossing pipe's really obscured, but then as I get closer to the pipe, because I made it that red, it really stands out. So you can play around with those settings as much as you see fit.
One of the, and look, just following on from a point I just made about the clash detection, yes, look, the reporting will go into the VGE. As a first instance, it will go into the, certainly go to model view, but as part of that development, it will enter into the VGE as well. So you'll get a lot more reporting information about the pipes that are crossing or clashing. Yeah,
the model viewer will be pretty cool. Yeah, because you'll be able to see it in, not only see it in 3D, but then be able to get some information about it as well.
Indeed.
So, cool. Anything else?
Are there any warnings or indicators showing the pipe is incapable of conveying the flow, or any kind of design cautions? Well, yes, we do have the one at the top, which just flags to you.
So I've got the text quite small, but you can change the size of that text. I was just mucking around with it, but in here it is the HGL warning. We could make it bigger.
So yes, it'll warn for you. So that used to be red text, didn't it?
Yes, you can play around with whatever color you'd like. I think I did make it an orange. You go HGL warning orange. But yeah, you can change the color, and it'll flash up for whatever you have set as the design storm. And then if you've set an additional HGL, it will give you the HGL warning. Oh, I thought it gave you the HGL. Oh, maybe it doesn't have HGL warnings for that. But yes, just definitely flashes up as the warning where the HGL jumps out, but so does the line work. Shows you the HGL level sitting well above the pit, which means that the pit's incapable or the pipe's incapable downstream.
As per usual, this recording will be available on the YouTube channel related to the Pipes VGE. We've got a few more sessions coming up in this particular month, which you are more than welcome to register for. Most of our registrations come through the newsletter. So if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, you can do that through here, which means that you'll get the notification probably mostly the day before to say, hey, there's a webcast you want to attend. That's what most people tend to do. If you've got any feedback or comments or questions and you do happen to miss the survey at the very end, feel free to pop in to this particular link here and provide us with feedback. You can also subscribe to the mailing list in there as well. Todd, thank you very much for your webcast today, your presentation. That was fantastic.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for your attendance. And we look forward to seeing as many as we can next week. Thank you.